So I love making BBQ Texas Twinkies, and I make them a lot. And I want to show you a video where I'm making them yesterday, and they weren't perfect. And the reason I want to show you this and kind of point some of it out is I've made them a lot of different ways, and some of the things I do I've really found are keys to success. And some of the things I've tried are not such good ideas. And yesterday was sort of proof of that. So we're going to show you a little bit of that in the video today, give you some pointers so you can start making some really good Texas Twinkies yourself. And if you're sitting there going, what the F is a Texas Twinkie? I'm going to tell you. So a Texas Twinkie is some kind of a pepper. Doesn't matter what. It can be a jalapeno, a habanero, whatever. Not really a habanero, a jalapeno or a poblano, really. But you can take any Anaheim even. You can do an Anaheim. But you take a pepper and you hollow it out and you stuff it with some combination of cheese and meat, and then you wrap it in bacon and then you smoke it. Okay, that's what a Texas Twinkie is. Now I'm going to tell you why some versions of it work and some don't. So the Texas Twinkies I made yesterday tasted phenomenal, awesome. But they weren't awesome because even though they tasted great, they weren't cooked great. And it was because of some of the mistakes I made. I want to point that out to you, both good and bad. So the reason you don't want to use extra large poblanos is because the more stuff you stuff it with, it's sort of problematic to get the stuff inside to actually cook through correctly and at the right type of texture and everything else. So my strong suggestion is use either large jalapenos or relatively small poblanos. Just don't use the giant. So in the ones I made yesterday, I didn't have chorizo sausage, but I did have some pulled pork I smoked. So I went ahead and put some pulled pork on it instead. It doesn't have that, fibrousness it needs to hold it together like you get with the chorizo sausage. So I will say this, I'm not a big fan of using anything other than brisket or chorizo sausage when I'm doing my poppers or my Texas Twinkies, okay? I'm not gonna be using pulled pork again, because it just kind of doesn't have enough to hold it together. So as far as cheese, I said you can use any cheese. I mean it, right? Personally, I prefer cream cheese. But here's the mistake I also made yesterday in these. I thought because, I got that pulled pork, which is sort of just there, and it's not, a big piece of something. I thought, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take that cream cheese, I'm gonna mix it with my pulled pork, and kind of put it all into a paste like it almost comes out looking like tuna fish that you get at Subway, right? So that's what I decided to do. And then I put that in my stuff. I took the problem of it not being, togetherness enough texture-wise and made it worse by doing that, okay? So I gotta say, that was also a mistake. So in the future, I will always do my layer of cream cheese or another cheese in theory if I would want one. But I do my layered cheese and then I do my meat. So when I'm making my cream cheese pulled pork mixture, I did add some barbecue seasoning in there and mixed it all up. That was a good call. I like putting that barbecue seasoning in with it to add a little extra flavor. So then when I'm done with that, I smack it into my poblano halves, kind of just got it all in there, smoothed it out. It was ready to put on bacon. So now it's time for the bacon, right? You gotta use thick bacon. You gotta use thick bacon because I'll get to this in a minute because it's challenging to get that bacon to cook just right. So if you don't use thick bacon, it will be guaranteed not to cook right. Like I promise you, it won't come out right. You gotta use thick bacon. So I start and I wrap it around. 2 keys when you're wrapping the bacon. Number 1, you really, if you can pull it off, you wanna be able to slightly overlap each time. Not like a big overlap, but like slightly overlap each time. It's really important to kind of help it congeal together and hold some firmness as an overall piece. If you can't get your bacon to wrap around all the way without overlapping, you probably have too big of a piece of jalapeno or poblano, whatever you use. You just use too big of a piece. So that's also like a sign. And also another reason why you want to use a large jalapeno or a small to medium-sized poblano pepper. Your bacon should be able to wrap around it completely with just a mild bit of overlap. The last little tip I'll tell you about wrapping your Texas Twinkies in bacon is after you finish wrapping that last little piece, you want to kind of tuck it in and put some of the stuff, cheese, whatever you got on top of it. That'll kind of keep it from unraveling, which is another one of the challenges you're going to get into when you go to cook. I want to hit this with a touch more rub, by the way. I'm going to use the sweet rub I got for that. Adds a little color, adds a little flavor. So that brings me to like what you get into when you go to cook. So there's 2 challenges when you go to cook these. Number 1, trying to keep the bacon on it. So you're gonna be real careful how you handle it. Otherwise, what you're gonna do is you pull it off, you're just gonna get this spirally piece of bacon, and then you'll get a pepper stuffed with stuff and they've come apart from each other. It's not really what you want. You want it to stay together. So try to get it tucked in at the end, and that's also why you do a little bit of the overlap. The other thing is it is really difficult to get your bacon to come out without being burnt to a crisp or undercooked. And I will say this, undercooked's better than overcooked, but you don't want either, right? So what you're trying to do is get it cooked just right. You want to cook your Texas Twinkies between 2 and 250 tops. And the reason that is so critically important is if you cook it at 275, 300, you're either going to burn your bacon or potentially undercook everything on the inside. Do it at 225, watch it, should take you about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops. You want to get it to where the bacon is as done as you can get it without being overdone. So like I said, put whatever cheese you want into it. I personally like cream cheese. As far as the meat goes, stay away from stuff that doesn't have some congealedness, okay? So don't use chopped brisket. If you slice brisket, that's fine. Don't use pulled pork, same problem. And as counterintuitive as it may sound, if you use chorizo sausage, it will firm up when you cook it, and that's actually fairly helpful. So that's personally why I like the chorizo sausage the best. I also like sliced brisket on it. That sliced brisket works just fine too. Works great. Hopefully you'll take some of these tips to heart, start making this recipe. I'm telling you, this is one of the best things I cook. I absolutely love it, and I hope you guys love it too.